Good morning, I'm Simon Sporter, and I'm very pleased to say that I've got Michelle Gray with me today. She is the head of schools and further education for the LTA. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi, Simon. Thanks for having me.
So today we're going to focus on tennis leaders and the whole initiative. Michelle knows lots about it, and we'll be able to answer all of my very basic questions, the first one being, but before I get there, Michelle, I'd like to know what your background is. So before we get on to the tennis leaders, tell us a bit about yourself.
So from a tennis perspective, I have grown up playing tennis and was in fact probably a tennis leader without the official title. I got involved in helping on court when I was kind of teenage years. Went on to be a tennis coach and then a qualified secondary school PE teacher, which I then have married both my coaching experience and my teaching experience into this role.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks for that. And I'm sure you enjoy working within the LTA and meeting interesting people and coming up with all new initiatives all the time.
Definitely.
Good. So tell us about the tennis leaders. Introduce it, please.
So LTA Youth Tennis Leaders is our free leadership program for young people aged between 11 and 18. It has been written and is accredited by the Leadership Skills Foundation, which was formerly known as SLQ Sports Leaders. So by working with them, we have tied in kind of the key and core leadership skills that young people will see across multiple different leadership programs, and the key skills being communication, self-belief, teamwork, self-management, and problem solving, and they're embedded throughout the course. A tennis leader could support coaches, volunteers and teachers both on and off court, and they can be involved in supporting tennis sessions, competitions, tennis events, and it's really an opportunity for young people to be involved in tennis in a different way than just playing. So I hope that gives a good overview in the first instance.
Okay, so do you need to be affiliated to a club to be involved? Do you have to be affiliated within a school? How do you get introduced to the scheme?
So as a young person, you would, I guess, have a tennis leaders course delivered by either a tennis coach or a secondary school PE teacher or a school games organizer or an LTA serves activator. So I guess there's lots of different avenues that a young person could be delivered tennis leaders via. And as a young person, if they were interested in doing a tennis leaders, they could obviously go to any of the people who can deliver and say, could we be involved? But as a young person, you don't need to be affiliated by like club membership or anything.
Okay, so two questions. Who, for these young leaders, where do they find out how to be involved?
So there is a web page on the LTA site that talks to young people as to what the tennis leaders is and how they can get involved.
Okay, and the people running the courses, obviously, I assume that, obviously, as you said, clubs may have coaches who are running courses, schools may have teachers who are running them as well. A PE teacher, it doesn't necessarily have to be a PE teacher, I assume. It could be just somebody who's got an interest in the whole subject. But how do they learn more about, how do they engage if they're not already? Where do they go to say, well, I'd like to do that and I'd like to get lots of young people being involved as well?
Yeah, definitely. So two answers to that question. So if they're an LTA accredited coach or a serves activator, there's information on the main LTA site as to overview of tennis leaders, some videos explaining more, and then also there is the resource order form. And then from a school's perspective, within the school's portal, there is a similar page of what tennis leaders is, how to get involved, and how to order resources.
Okay, and do the teachers stroke coaches need to have particular ball skills or sporting skills? And do the tennis leaders need to have ball skills and tennis skills, or is it a bit more open to everybody? What's your view on that?
So from a deliverer's perspective, they have to be a level 3+ accredited coach. And from a school's perspective, it is a secondary school PE teacher, because of the knowledge and experience of delivering sports leadership more broadly. In terms of tennis ability for both the PE teacher and the young people, it doesn't matter what level of tennis they are in terms of playing. So it's open to everyone to get involved.
Okay, and it's a national scheme.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And are there many leaders and are people and also teachers and coaches already doing it? We're talking about thousands, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. So yes, and obviously it's our ambition to grow that, because we would love to see more tennis leaders trained, and we'd love to see more coaches and more schools delivering it. Because really, from a tennis leader's perspective, as it not only gives them life skills more broadly as an individual, but also helps keep them in tennis. So in those teenage years is when we see participation quite often drop off, but engaging them in a different way and engaging different individuals, not just players as well. So it's a really kind of exciting attraction and retention tool for both coaches and schools to use. Okay,
great. And the actual content to do the tennis leaders, is it a day? Is it a few hours spread over? What's the general, how does it actually work?
Yeah, so the minimum is 4 hours, and I'll explain how it's kind of broken down. So there's a core compulsory module, which is a minimum of 3 hours, and that's the introduction to leading tennis. And then there are 4 other elective modules. Each is guided 1 hour, but obviously the modules can be extended in terms of length of time, and the more practice the better, and it would just depend on the individuals in the group. But the other 4 electives are helping out a competition, helping out a coaching session, helping out a venue, and helping out a school. And in order to receive the kind of qualification of tennis leader, they need to do both the core module and at least 1 elective module. After that, they receive their certificate and t-shirt. And I should say at the start of the course, they're given a workbook to work through and follow and write, and then they can obviously refer back to. And so from that perspective, the minimum, as I said, is 4, but can be extended. More practice the better, but then also they can do other modules in time as and when relevant. And it's up to the course deliverer as to which of the elective modules they pick. So I mean, the obvious one is for a teacher, they would probably pick either helping at the school or helping at a competition, because quite a lot of within schools, they'll help at a primary festival, primary competition.
Yes. Okay. Now I know there is quite a push on the Parks Activators program. And how can, for example, a tennis leader, for example, ally themselves or attach themselves once they've done the course to, for example, one of those programs within a park? Because there's so many parks being renovated right now under the LTA program in conjunction with the government. And it would be great from my perspective if some of those tennis leaders could then go and support and help some of those initiatives.
Yeah, definitely. So in due course on the LTA website, there'll be information on how to become a park activator. But the key thing with the tennis leaders is that they always need to be supervised by an adult. So that's where the key kind of information and kind of procedures, I guess, would be needed to be overseen correctly.
Sure. So I get that. So the activator at the park would then work with the tennis leader. So that kind of all makes sense. Okay, so what this seems to me, it's great for the leaders to be able to do this course because it gives them experience, keeps them attached to tennis, as you said, keeps them engaged, and also probably adds something to their CV as well at a crucial time in their their career and their sort of young career, I should say. And it also gives PE teachers and coaches the opportunity to connect with younger people in clubs and venues as well, and just in schools from a sporting perspective. How do we, if we want to find out more about this, I know you've got some specific web pages, and we can publish that later, but tell me, what is the web page?
So I can give you the specific web page. If you are a coach looking for the information, or a kind of interested parent, then it's under www.lta.org.uk, and it's under roles and venues, coaches, products and programs, and then LTA Youth Tennis Leaders. And actually, if you go to that page, you can then find the Become an LTA Youth Tennis Leader, which is for young people as well. So it's essentially under roles and venues, coaches, products and programs, and then tennis leaders.
Right. I think we'll publish that later to make sure that everybody finds.
I did warn you that it might not be the easiest to find.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, Michelle, for joining us today. And I hope lots of you are going to take up this opportunity. So thank you very much.
Thank you.